To Capitol Hill now. And after months of negotiations, it seems that lawmakers finally have a deal on infrastructure. The $1.2 trillion bipartisan package is headed for a final vote in the Senate today at around 11 a.m. Eastern. In remarks on the floor last night, Democratic Majority Leader Chuck Schumer called the bill, quote, a very good thing for America. So for more on this, I want to bring in CBS News congressional reporter Jack Turman. Jack, give us a recap. What happened with the bill in the Senate yesterday?
This bill is a bipartisan infrastructure bill. It's been negotiated for weeks now, and in June, President Biden, along with a bipartisan group of senators, came to an agreement on a bipartisan framework, and it took some time for them to really hash out and finalize some of the details when it came to paying for the bill. So now you see that the Senate has obviously advanced the bill for a vote for passage today at 11 a.m. But in terms of the bill itself, there's $550 billion of new federal spending in the bill, and this is solely for physical, hard infrastructure projects. So roads, bridges, waterways, ports, water infrastructure, broadband infrastructure, and it's important to note that this is a pretty promising sign for President Biden and Democrats that they're, getting a bipartisan achievement here, as the bill is likely to get likely to pass today.
And part of getting that bipartisan cooperation, particularly from GOP lawmakers, is ensuring that the bill would be fully paid for. But the Congressional Budget Office says that the legislation would add $256 billion to the deficit. Will that come back to haunt Republicans who voted yes next year?
Yeah, I think that's still to be determined, but it is interesting to note that, for a while, Senator Rob Portman, one of the lead GOP negotiators of this bipartisan group to craft this package and this bill, has long said that this bill is paid for. And when the CBO score came out last week that projected $256 billion in deficits over the next decade, several Republican senators, that kind of solidified their concerns that the bill fully isn't paid for. But Senator Portman, Senator Kirsten Sinema of Arizona, a Democrat lead negotiator of the bill, kind of rebutted that, saying, the CBO score and some of their pay-fors aren't fully reflected in the scoring of the CBO score, and they estimate that there's actually $519 billion in offsets. So we'll see how that dynamic kind of plays out. But it's also important to note yesterday, or over the past few days, I should say, you see Senator Todd Young of Indiana, part of the G20 bipartisan group of senators, came out against the bill, citing that the bill isn't paid for. You see Senator Jerry Moran of Kansas, another senator who has kind of endorsed the bipartisan framework early on, came out against the bill in a statement saying that he has issues with the pay-fors as well. And it's interesting to note that both of them are running for re-election next year. So we'll see how this all plays out next year during the midterm elections.
Yeah, speaking of creative ways to pay for this bill, yes, this is about planes, trains, automobiles, that sort of stuff, bridges, and so on. But there's some bad news for fans of cryptocurrency. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so one of the pay-fors for the bill is basically over cryptocurrency, where cryptocurrency brokers have to report their transactions to the IRS. So stricter tax enforcement, tax compliance. And there's general agreement in that regard that cryptocurrency brokers need to do that. But there's been disagreements over the past few days on how do you define a cryptocurrency broker? Who is included in the broker title there? So you saw yesterday, Senator Pat Toomey and Senator Cynthia Lummis, both Republican senators, announced that they worked with Senator Portman, Senator Sinema, Senator Mark Warner of Virginia, and the Treasury Department to come up with a bipartisan amendment that basically would narrow the restrictions on who is defined as a broker. So, and they argued that that does not include, software developers, node operators. But in order to do that, they needed to get unanimous consent so senators could vote on their amendment. And to get unanimous consent, you need all 100 senators. Senators objected to that, so the underlying bill text is still, they would say, too broad. And cryptocurrency advocates would argue that that underlying bill text is too broad as well, since their amendment didn't get voted on.
So you mentioned two senators that are up for re-election. This is going to be a rare bipartisan achievement. At least it looks like it's going to be. Who will benefit the most from this, though, electorally?
I think you could definitely make an argument for both. For Democrats, President Biden Senate Democrats, moderate Democrats in the House, they could tout this as a bipartisan achievement that they worked with Republicans on kind of delivering a very generally popular topic such as infrastructure. And you could say the same for Republicans as well, I think, saying that, we put aside our differences with the president and with Senate Democrats, House Democrats, and worked to deliver this bipartisan achievement. With that being said, though, with President Trump, kind of supporting Senator Bill Hagerty and endorsing him in his Senate reelection. Remember, Bill Hagerty objected to expediting the process when it came to final amendment votes and for passage of the bill. That could have happened as early as Thursday night. That could have happened over the weekend, and he really stuck firm to objecting to that process. And President Trump came out with a statement saying that he supported Bill Hagerty's move. So, I think an argument could be made for both sides of the aisle that this is, could be beneficial, but you have that dynamic with President Trump as well, supporting senators who objected to the speeding up the process.
All right, Jack Turman, thank you so much.
Thank you.